Good morning and welcome to Bloomberg New Economy Conversations. I'm Andy Browne. As always in this series, we talk to business leaders operating on the front lines about the key decisions they're making as the coronavirus pandemic brings large parts of the global economy to a standstill. My guest today is the president and CEO at Booking Holdings and the CEO at Booking.com, Glenn Fogel. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Andy.
So Glenn, last March, the entire travel industry came to a screeching halt right around the time you yourself fell ill with the coronavirus. Walk us through what the past few months have been like for you personally.
Well, it's been quite unreal. I became ill in the end of March, and that was very much the early part of the infections in the States. But a global company, we were well aware of this. We do a lot of work in China. We saw things starting to happen in January. So I was concerned about what was going to happen. Of course, I certainly didn't expect myself to become ill so quickly, and my entire family became ill. Now, fortunately, we all recovered very, very fast. And so I was running 3 days after I took my test. And I didn't even get the results back until days later to find out that, yes, I was infected, but I was already feeling fine. That being said, though, I know how incredibly lucky I and my family have been, because I know so many people who've had such horrible, horrible times with this disease. And unfortunately, I'm aware of people who unfortunately lost their fight with the virus. And I know we all have read, and the numbers are staggering. And this is a tragedy for the world. This is horrible. So I feel good about myself. And that's why we went to the New York Blood Bank after we got our results back, and after the number of weeks, we went there and we gave, my whole family, we've given plasma in that hope that will help someone else.
In a survey of more than 5,000 epidemiologists by the New York Times this week, only 7% said they would be comfortable flying now, and 37% said they wouldn't fly for at least another year unless we get a vaccine or effective therapy. One of these epidemiologists called planes a flying tube of germs. Does that attitude, do you think, represent the broad traveling public, or is it just epidemiologists being hyper cautious? What are you seeing from your own data about travel intentions?
Well, I always want to trust the data and not the emotions. And the fact is, there's not a lot of data yet in terms of, is it worse to be in a plane than, say, in a restaurant or something like that, and all the stuff that's done on the plane to keep the air fresh and clean and filtered and all that. That being said, that's data, but the emotions absolutely there. I mean, there are people there who say, I'm not getting on a plane. And it's understandable. And it's not dissimilar to 9/11. After 9/11 happened, I had friends who said they absolutely will never, ever, ever get on a plane again after what happened, the tragedy of that. Yet, just a few months later, they were willing to get on a plane. And it's an amazing thing about human beings and how we adapt to risk. I'm just at that age where I was one of the first babies to get the Salk vaccine for polio. And before that, of course, there was terrible polio disease and people were scared about it. Of course, they still had lives. They still ran their lives. They still went out. So we are all hopeful a vaccine will come soon. And I understand certain scientists who are dealing with the virus every day, and they're saying, I'm not touching this thing. I also know that people are willing to take risks. We take risks every day, and people will be traveling more and more, as we're seeing those numbers right now.
So what are these numbers that you're seeing from within your own system? And what are travelers doing? Are they booking a year out, 3 months out, less than that? Are they traveling now? What can we tell about about travel intentions?
We talked about this in our earnings call, and it was really interesting how what we call the booking window, which talks about how far out are people booking, and it looks like a barbell. We've really never seen this before. You have people who up front, they need to travel right away, probably something very, very important. They must do it today, tomorrow, the next day. And then you have people who are booking out months in advance, looking forward to things being better and wanting still to have a vacation.
Would you fly now?
I, of course, now having been ill, I am a special case, so I feel fairly safe getting on a plane, of course, because I believe that there is some level of immunity right now, and nobody knows how long it'll last. So yes, I will certainly get on a plane. But I think the question more important is how many people who have not been ill, who have not recovered, will feel safe, and it's still a relatively small number, I think.
So you're offering financial incentives to induce travel. How does that work? I mean, are people tempted to take more risk if the price is right?
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting way to phrase it. I think people are always looking for a deal. And that's one of the things that we do bring to our customers are deals, better pricing, and find out ways that you can save. So one of the things that people will do is they'll say, well, I'm a little concerned about traveling today, but I wouldn't mind traveling maybe in August or maybe in September. So I'll lock up that great price right now. I'll go to booking.com. I'll go to priceline.com. I'll do all the things I need to set up my holiday, my vacation now for a few months down the road. And the great thing about going on to something like a booking.com is it's cancelable. It's a free cancel. So why not? It's a free option. So they go on, they'll book it up, and we'll see what happens in August or September.
So for those people who are ready to travel, what are their top concerns? Is it social distancing on planes? Is it deep cleaning of hotel rooms? Or their concern is to stay closer to home? But what's the customer telling you?
So what we're seeing, and again, this is pretty much you would expect, but at least we have the data that proves it, is that first, right now, people want to travel local, hyper local, within driving distance. That's where a lot of the stuff is being booked, which makes perfect sense. That way you don't have to get onto a plane. Then what will happen slowly is people will start looking further afield, and they'll do domestic, because there still are significant amount of restrictions on traveling internationally. So, for example, no one's going to go on a holiday to the UK if you have to stay in a hotel for 14 days. That's not a holiday. You can stay in your room at home. Even Hawaii, Hawaii. If you travel to Hawaii, you're supposed to be in a hotel room for 14 days before you can go to the beach. Now, that's not fun. So people are going to have to always go with whatever the restrictions are keeping you from doing. And that's why we're definitely going to have domestic grow much faster than international for a long time, I think.
What's the best practice in hotels now? What are you seeing hotels doing to bring back customers, to convince them that their stay will be safe?
Well, you'll see it in their advertising. They're going to bring forward a thing about how hard they're doing in terms of cleaning the rooms, disinfecting, and then putting a sticker on that this has been disinfected to make people feel safe, that the room is safe. And they're doing social distancing in the lobby, so people don't line up one right after the other to go to the desk to get your check-in or your check-out. And they're putting, even I've even seen plexiglass things so that the desk clerk behind the desk is not actually talking straight to somebody. There's a plexiglass wall that is preventing people from breathing at each other. All those things will make people feel a little safer, but also reminds them, though, of the dangers and the concerns. So it's a two-way sword, a two-sided sword here, because people, you don't want to, on holiday, you don't want to be reminded that this is maybe a risky thing to do. On the other hand, though, you want to maintain safety at all times. And it's a delicate balance that the hotels are trying to figure out. I know that's one of the reasons we see a higher increase of people go to booking.com and they're getting homes instead of a hotel. They're going on, they're renting out a home, which we offer to people, because that way they don't have to deal with any of that stuff.
So there's a lot of talk about travel bubbles. These are groups of neighboring countries that trust each other, whether it's in the Balkans or in the Mediterranean or Australia, New Zealand, opening up to travel among themselves. Is this the way forward, do you think? And then will these smaller bubbles sort of turn into bigger bubbles? I mean, is this a way towards global reopening? Is it workable?
Yeah, I think that's something that people are looking at very closely and trying to find out how can they bring back travel and tourism as fast as possible. And if somebody were to say, well, I don't want to let in the entire world, but here are some countries that right now have very low or no infection rates, why not let people come from there? New Zealand, practically no infections at all right now. Australia, extremely low. Why not say, hey, we can go each other. We just don't want to go to a country that has a very high rate. We don't want people coming from those countries coming to our coming home. the issues with those is it's a small amount of travel. I mean, you have a bubble here, a bubble there. It's not enough. We need much more, which is why people are talking about certain types of technology that will allow people to test very rapidly. So before you get on the plane to go to another country, perhaps you'll have to take a very, very quick test to prove that you do not have the infection. And then there's the tracing and contact tracing and all the mobile technology that countries are talking about in turning, if somebody is infected, how to trace where have they been, who have they been close to. So there are a lot of things being explored right now, all very early. But the thing I think that we all just hope for most is a vaccine that would cure all the problems.
Right. What about countries that don't fit into a bubble? Poorer countries that don't have robust public healthcare systems, that aren't able to do the kind of tracking, tracing, quarantine that you've just been talking about. Is there a danger that they could be forever excluded from the global travel map?
Well, forever is a real long time. And the first thing we always have to think about is how truly tragic this is in these countries that do not have a very developed health system. And now this horrible virus has arrived. And I think before I start thinking about how much it's going to hurt travel business, I think how much it's going to hurt people, because there aren't enough hospitals, there aren't enough doctors, there isn't enough care, there aren't ventilators. That's the absolute first thing that's horrible. But then you think about the business, because a lot of people's jobs, their economies, or a lot of people involved with tourism in these countries that are relatively poor, but that's one of the ways that they're able to get currency and get economic growth. And now that's been cut off. And it's really horrible how that's happening. What the issue really is going to come down is this is not a new thing, by the way. In the way past, there have always been issues. Certain countries were cut off, or you had to go get inoculations because there were different cholera, typhoid, things that were rampant in a country. And if you went to that country, you would coming back, you would be looked at closely, and you may not be allowed to go. It's a problem that we've had in the past. The way to get over it again, vaccine. I'll just keep have to say it, because that's the only thing that's going to cure that. Otherwise, it's herd immunity is going to take a long time.
Yeah. Last question, Glenn. There's a lot of talk these days about a post-COVID economy. In fact, that's a theme of this Bloomberg New Economy Conversations series. Do you buy that concept? Will there be permanent changes in how we travel, or do we go back to where we were once we have this vaccine or an effective therapy?
Well, it's a mixture. I mean, people don't change. So people sometimes have said things like, well, people aren't going to travel as much at all. That I do not believe. And then my analogy is I look back to World War II and the devastation of Europe in the end of 1945. By the end of that decade, people were traveling to Europe. You know, I was going to Europe in 49, 50. I mean, the place was only 5 years after complete destruction. People change, people adapt. But certainly the post-COVID economy, what it's showing, though, is the way we do things is different. How much more things are being done digitally, online. You don't have to be in place physically. That's a big change. But travel is a place you have to be physically. Watching the movie is not nearly as much fun as actually going there. And that's what people are going to have to, people are still going to do, and people are going to adapt. But what would accelerate it is if we can get more government assistance in the travel industry. It's such a great industry. It really brings people together. And it also provides a huge number of jobs. I mean, travel tourism, that's about 1/3 of 1 billion jobs around the world. Many of them are entry-level jobs that let people onto that economic ladder of success, that first rung. We need to help make it. I mean, travel took the first big hit, really did. And we're going to be probably the last industry out of this. We need governments around the world to continue to help the travel industry. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Glenn Fogel, we're out of time. Thanks for giving us a comprehensive tour around the world of travel, and good luck.
Well, thank you, Andy.